All right, everybody. Well, this is the show number 6. Welcome back to the Think and Be Free show. Let me just say right now that this is not my office. This is the farthest thing from my office. We are here at Ponderosa Studios, who has graciously opened up their studio to us. As Aaron is showing you, I've got my first guest on, Aaron H. Askin.
Oh, thanks for
Aaron?
the H. I
You like
appreciate
that?
the use of the
Yeah,
H. Yes, just sounds official.
Yeah, what does the H stand for?
My maiden name, Hughley.
Okay, I like it. So yeah, we're here, and I never thought that we would make it this far in the 6th show being professionally recorded and produced. So I want to thank Ponderosa for having us here. And we are going to start today's show by actually talking about what this show is built on. I really never talked about what this is actually built on. So in the first show, I talked about that this show should be built on happiness and expectations and contemplating failure and why society tells us that sometimes it's just not okay to fail. So Aaron and I have had many conversations over the past couple weeks, and I think that she's going to be a great guest and probably should be the host of this show rather than me. No. So you want to introduce yourself, Aaron? Anything you need to say to anyone out there listening, all 4 or 5 listeners?
Well, I'm one of them because I'm your super fan. I am the biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would just like to say that you left out the death part. That's definitely the foundation because because we're dying.
I like that.
Like you got to die better. So we have to be concerned about these other things because we're dying.
Or like Tom says,
yeah.
How's your death going?
Yeah.
It's not hello. How's your death going?
Yeah.
And then start off like that, which is not awkward.
Which I think there needs to be a T-shirt that says that with the Think and Be Free logo on it as well.
I like that. All right, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that down.
Well, what do you want to start with? Let's start with expectations.
Okay.
I'll say this about expectations. When I grew up, I don't think my parents really expected us to do anything. I had 2 other brothers. They just sort of asked us what we wanted to do, and I don't believe that they expected us to go to the greatest colleges and be athletes or musicians. And for me, expectations, it's so tough to compete with nowadays. Middle school, high school, we conjure up these images in our heads of pro athletes and scholars and famous people and the money that they make. It's almost impossible to reach.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a bad thing? Or some people say, well, why would you shoot with low expectations? That doesn't make sense. Why not shoot high? Why not have high goals?
Because it's not realistic.
Not realistic.
Right? I mean, I could say I want to be a pro golfer, but that's
not going to happen.
Gonna happen. I mean, I don't even want to play golf, so I don't know why I use that as an example. But you know the 10,000 hours theory or rule or whatever. If you practice something for 10,000 hours, that's how you become an expert at it. I feel bad that I can't remember the book that was in.
It's okay. That's what the show's based on.
Anyway, there's a book that it's in, so people have to take my word for that. Anyway, I don't think that just because you put 10,000 hours into something, like, playing the piano, you may have 10,000 hours worth of playing the piano, but are you going to be an expert at it? Are you going to be the next Beethoven just because you put 10,000 hours in? No. So I don't think that aiming with unrealistic expectations is smart.
Do you think that telling a child or someone in middle school or high school when they're starting to sort of blossom into this is what I can do with my life and this is what I can do with the world and the advertisements and my teachers and counselors and my parents, do you think that's a negative thing to say to someone? Like, look, you need to lower your expectation. That has a negative connotation to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like, hey, don't shoot for the stars. Don't shoot for being a professional athlete. Shoot for something low and then work your way up. Doesn't that have a negative connotation to it? How would you tell, your and Tom's sons to like lower your expectations? How do you do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never really thought about that before, but no, I see how that is hard, but I think we live in a world where we assume that everybody should be looking to the end while you're still at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so your expectation is based on where you hope to be 50 years from now or 40 years from now, or maybe if you want to be a professional athlete or something, it's shorter than that.
Sure.
But why can't we look at an expectation of the next step rather than the end result?
I like that.
That makes more sense. That's more realistic because you might change your mind.
So let's go with that. So I have an expectation of, so for this show, I have an expectation that maybe this show wants to be nationally broadcasted. What the next, I shouldn't just end that at, well, if it's not nationally broadcast or syndicated, then I'm a failure. That's pretty much what sometimes what society tells us, that, hey, if you don't end up being at the end of your goal, then what's the point of trying, really?
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if it's necessarily about expectation, because like you don't have. Can you define your goal for the show as you expect that to happen, or you hope that's going to happen, you want that to happen? And I think those are three different things.
Sure. I would think that the expectations of the show I started off would be very low. Just like so it's not scripted, it's not edited, and again, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be live. So the expectations are set extremely low. That way I'm not going to fall so far from the top that I'm going to be disappointed in myself if I don't make it. So little tiny steps. But I think as far as so when I was in school, I felt like if I didn't meet the expectations of my peers, I felt kind of outcasted.
Mm-hmm.
It's
true. So
how do you stop that? How can you let kids know, look, you don't need to meet these massive expectations? And especially now with technology coming in, technology almost outweighs. We almost create these images in our head that are, you can't compete with the images that technology creates with the expectations. Does that make sense? Or am I way off?
I'm not sure I totally get it.
So like, I don't know, take the Mona Lisa, for example. Like, oh, here's the Mona Lisa, the picture, and you go to see it, the image that you get, the expectations that you're going to be right up front and close.
Right.
But realistically, you may be 30 people back and the Mona Lisa may look this big.
And it's really not that big.
Yes, right. So I'm saying the technology that you can look at a picture and say, that's the Mona Lisa, I want to go see it. I want to see it up close. Well, if you're not the first one in line, you may see it from 200 yards away.
It's not that impressive either.
Put that out. The Mona Lisa isn't that impressive. And I quote, Eric.
It's not my style. I think Da Vinci had other amazing things about him. I don't like.
Yeah, all right. So I don't know why I came up with that, but the idea is there, right? All right. So expectations now can lead into happiness. I believe.
But you're talking about somebody else's expectations for you, not your own, right? I mean, because when you were talking about the show, you're talking about those are self-imposed expectations versus like what a kid's peers are saying
your
or parents are
friends,
saying.
Right.
Like, those are separate things, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are separate. So maybe it's the parents that have the idea that they need that are putting the expectations in the minds of their kids, or the school counselors. It's separate, but I think it's one and the same.
Because what if you don't want to reach somebody else's or to meet somebody else's expectations? If your goals or whatever light dreams, desires diverge from what is expected of you, then what? Then you end up with guilt.
Yeah, guilt that I failed.
Yeah.
That I didn't make it.
That's the takeaway. Yeah. Even though you really didn't, because those were not yours to begin with.
Right, they weren't yours. You said, hey, maybe I want to, I just want to continue to go back to the show because it's the only thing I relate to. But maybe the only reason I wanted to start the show was because I wanted to give back to the community and feel like something that was never given to me in middle school or high school, that I don't need to make money. But if someone has a high expectation of this show other than me, I would feel like I failed.
I don't, why?
Because you're dealing with other people's expectations.
But you can't control that.
Correct. I like that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that isn't 100% hypocritical for me to say, because it totally is. But I think, I love the scene in Dirty Dancing. And I think I told you about this before. Did you ever see that movie?
Bits and pieces.
I mean,
This is before my time.
it's,
Maybe.
am I allowed to swear on the show?
Yeah.
Well, then fuck you.
Oh my God. I didn't mean it that way. Oh, jeez.
So it's really not up my alley, but this sort of has always been a metaphor that's stuck with me. So there are two people and they're doing whatever kind of dancing that is.
Dirty dancing.
Well, it's not that dirty, especially not by today's standards. It's not like they're whatever. Anyway, so there's a scene where Patrick Swayze says to the girl with the larger nose, I don't remember her name, like, this is my dance space and this is your dance space. You don't enter my dance space. And she's like, okay. And then she proceeds to step on his feet. But my own goals and my expectations, that should be my dance space. And what someone else thinks of that or determines is my level of success or failure should be outside my dance space. And I should be able to tell someone to keep out.
Oh, I like that.
It's
Wow.
unrealistic.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it should be realistic. I'm fully admitting being a hypocrite and saying that, but that's really, I think, the
awesome.
only way that you can not feel like you failed when trying to live up to somebody else's.
Yeah,
It's not my
don't come
dance
into my
space.
expectation
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
This is my expectations I have of myself.
Yeah.
And I thought these up myself. Don't come into my space.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. So can we converge that into happiness? So if you have low expectations, I shouldn't say low if you have moderate expectations, you really, how can I put this? This is what happens on this show. I go into awkward silences and I go into my brain and try to find out words to say that I don't know. There's Joe Lennon in the background. If someone jump in.
Wait,
what I'm
you're
saying
talking
is,
about how the two converge?
Yeah,
Happiness
so-
and expectation?
yeah. So if you're reaching super high,
For
you have that stress
who?
level
For yourself?
For yourself.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But that also comes from other people. If, like you said, it's
Yeah,
unrealistic to
right.
not listen to other people.
Right.
But if you're reaching super high, when you go to bed at night, you're like, I can't. There's no level that I can keep going up. I'm already at the top, so I feel I can't be any happier than I am now. So starting at the bottom, just reach incremental levels of happiness, going up and up and up.
Right. Instead of jumping too far ahead.
Jumping way too far ahead.
Yeah.
Like what I used yesterday with rock climbing. You're not going to go rock climbing. Someone's going to stick you in the middle of
Right.
a rock.
Yeah.
Then you're like, I don't know how to climb. This is terrible. What do I do? And then you're going to fall.
Yeah.
What if you're not straight? You're going to die. That's it.
Right. So you have to
Start at the bottom and then learn
Yeah.
how to climb and which way to put your legs and this and that.
and have your appropriate harness and
absolutely,
ropes
all
and
that stuff,
safety
yeah.
system.
Yeah.
You do it like in a responsible way.
Yeah.
But yeah. But then the expectation is that even with that example, that you are going to get to the top.
Right. What's the top?
And what if you don't? Is that a failure then?
I don't know.
If it starts to rain and you slip and you fall off
I don't know if that's considered
rock?
failure. I don't know. I really don't. It's a good question.
or are you like, I think society would say you're supposed to get back.
You get back up and try it again until you, well, yeah, don't give up. Never give up.
Right.
Be
But
a
then
man.
how many times you tried before you're stupid?
Right. Or that. Yeah, how many times you try before it's just, look, you got to stop. This isn't for you. I don't know.
You sure you wanted to do this in the first place?
Right.
Then all those like questions happen.
Yeah.
Too.
And if you're a parent and you have to tell your child, this may not be for you. But that's not
Maybe
bad.
we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not what we're supposed to do.
Right. Just
Maybe
not
we just aren't supposed to have any.
have any children.
No expectations of our children.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Like you just do whatever you want. There's
Yeah.
I'm not expecting you to do anything.
Oh, I do that. Oh, I gotta think about that. Because, I expect my son Stuart to water ski.
Right. Yeah.
So I encourage him to water ski. Maybe he doesn't care.
If he doesn't want to do it. Right. I would expect Liana to play sports. And if she doesn't want to do it, that's me and saying, well, I had expectations for you. And then I'm upset, which is going to in turn make her upset.
Right.
But maybe she should just wake up and be like, I want to, I don't know, eat crayons. Perfect. And why do you want to eat crayons? I hope they're not toxic, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Crayons are non-toxic.
Yeah.
You're good.
But if that makes her happy, then so be it.
Yeah.
So
Maybe we're not supposed to interfere with somebody else's
Right.
route to happiness.
Right. Correct. Ooh, I like that.
But we do that as parents. You do that even with like your friends or your family or people you care about, because you feel like, hey, here's a way.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Even
even if you have the best intentions, maybe you don't think that that's what the person's supposed to do, but you feel like this is maybe something valuable for them to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for that. I don't think everybody should butt out of everybody else's business, because I know I rely on, other people's perspectives to give me something to think about that may then challenge my own, and I might land on something entirely different. That's why I love this show.
Sure.
A lot of times it challenges what I think, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like the list thing, just a different way of looking at things. I think conversation is important, but maybe it's more of you have to be careful of turning ideas into the feeling of expectation of someone else.
Again.
Yeah.
We go back to expectations. It's a massive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
But it's almost like when I was in high school, you go back to your guidance counselor. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I have no idea.
It is.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And then you tell them, look, this is what I want to do. And they say, well, no, you should be doing this. You should go to a community college. This is what's laid out for you. Here are your grades. This is what you need to do. And that's what was told to me. And I'm like, but you're not listening to what I'm telling you. You're not listening. That's the educator telling you, here's the system set up for you.
Right.
Here's the expectations that we have for you. You go and do that.
But all that time you're told not to challenge also.
Not to challenge.
Yeah.
Do not challenge.
Yeah.
We know what's best.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's your parents, whether it's educators, with your friends, do not challenge. Listen to us. We've been there. We're older. We're adults. That sucks. You're a guidance counselor. Like,
that sees, hundreds of kids. And somehow you're going to know what's good for that kid.
But you're not listening to me.
In that 15 minutes that you've spent with them. Yeah.
So then I do that here. Okay. I'll meet I'm going to try and meet your expectations of me. I'll go to community college, but I'm not going to be happy about it. Mm-hmm. It sucks. I'm here because I should be there.
Right.
Terrible I did in school. Awful. It wasn't for me.
But were there certain areas where you excelled because you liked that subject matter? No,
nothing. Didn't like sitting in class. Didn't like just reading books and doing things. I was always I don't want to be here. I didn't know where I wanted to be, but I don't want to be here. But this is where I should go. You're telling me that I need to be educated to make money, to have a family, to have kids, to set a retirement fund, and then to die. That was that's your life set out for you already while you're 16 years old.
Even earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, 15, 16. Here's your life. Not good. So.
Super boring.
Really boring.
Super boring.
Oh, terrible. Ugh.
This is depressing.
This show has gone really dark here.
Depressing.
How much time do we have left?
Is
Where are we
somebody
at
timing?
here?
Anyone?
Oh, 20. No one wants to talk in the background. Like, it's not like a Tosh Point out where you hear like people chuckling in the background. I see them chuckling, but can we move on to failure?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's fine.
We talked about that the other day. I've never actually failed on a massive level, and I'm ashamed of that. I truly am. You asked me, like, have you ever?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. The only time I could really think about the time that I failed was when I was going through boot camp in the Coast Guard, and I didn't pass a test. I couldn't graduate on the day that you're supposed to graduate. Mm-hmm. So I had to call my family, who was already ready to come and go see the graduation. I'm like, oh, I'm too dumb to graduate, so you got to come next week. But that's not really failing at a massive level,
No, but for some people that might be.
It could be.
So
Yeah.
that's again an individual.
Right. But do you think that we look at the younger generation today, that not that we look at, but do you think that they believe that it's not okay to fail? There's a certain aspect. Yeah.
I think that they're
ahead.
being taught that it's not, that not only is it not okay to fail, that there's so many safety nets that it'll never happen to you.
Ooh, go on.
Well,
expand on that.
You know, we just protect them a lot. You know, even, and not to go into the political world or
Sure.
anything, but we do set it up so we can't celebrate this holiday, and we can't celebrate any holidays. There may be a kid with a you know, whose parents pretty healthy, and they don't support the idea of having Halloween candy in school, so we're just not going to celebrate Halloween in school. You know,
The worst.
and not that that's directly related to failure, but when you take that to sports teams and, you know, whatever else, it's the everybody gets a trophy. And
Right.
so they I don't know that they could handle it if they failed. You know,
Coddling.
I don't know. I can't claim to be authority
Sure.
on that, because my own children are involved in things where you can fail. So where, you know, not everybody wins, and you know, you may get up on water skis, but you can fall down 2 seconds later, and you have to be able to take that. So I don't know that I'm the authority to speak on that, just from observation.
I encourage everybody, even myself, to fail on whether maybe a daily basis or just so that you can at least get used to the idea. It's comfortable to fail, and then you learn from it. I don't know anyone that's ever started at the top and has never failed it. Or if you did start at the top, or you were born into this sort of, my father owns a business and I'm here, and I've never really gone through diversity. That's not it. Adversity. Jeez, I am the worst. This is what I'm talking about. Failure right there. Not knowing. I said diversity, not advert. I am the Pittsburgh Pirates. Adversity. I'm saying go through adversity. And when you don't go through that on I don't have to go through every day, but maybe once a week, it's just nice. It's refreshing to feel. Like, I think it's refreshing to feel failure.
When you're failed, or when you rebound from failure?
Yeah. So not that failing constantly, that's not refreshing. When you're just like, oh, this is terrible.
Because you don't feel like life just beat the hell out of you.
Terrible. Just dig a hole and bury yourself in it. Yeah, no, but failing and then getting, like, so I'll take skateboarding as an example. I've skateboarded for years and years and years, and you fall, you try something, you get up and do it again, and then you land it, you nail it, and you're like,
Eureka.
This is great. This is the greatest moment of my life. So take that and put it into school systems and education, and your family and your kids and your friends, and just say, look, you're gonna fail, but you're gonna bounce back.
I think that, don't you think that might be an assumption that's not true for everyone?
It's possible.
Some people fail and they're like, oh, fuck it, throw in the towel, I'm done.
A defeatist.
Yeah.
The word I heard the first time I heard Tom say that, I was like, what does that mean? That sounds really cool and bad at the same time.
And depressing.
Yeah. But I was like, it's sometimes how I think. Like, oh, all right, well, fuck it. I got to put the explicit lyric on the iTunes thing for this.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
I have a potty mouth. I'll stop swearing. I won't swear anymore.
You're making me swear. But so, I think failure, I think everyone should do it. I think you should. You should try to fail. Don't you? Is that a bad thing to say?
I don't know. I don't think I have the maturity that you have when it comes to failure.
Stop it.
No.
Well, when you fail, what happens?
Well, I tend to be defeatist.
Just, that's it. I'm done. I don't care anymore.
Yep. But then I'll give you a concrete example. So I worked really, 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 really hard. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Bandkind, but you are. Good example.
I knew it was coming up, and the last 5 minutes. Go ahead.
So really hard, learned a lot to launch the site. I launched the site, which obviously is crowdfunding, and in comes first donation to one of our artists was my brother-in-law, which again, always grateful to Billy. And then my father-in-law, and then crickets. Now, I'm expecting all of the people closest to me, this is expectation, and failure. So I'm expecting that as soon as, and oh, by the way, I texted everyone when the site was live, like everyone I know. So, and then nothing. So I took that as a personal affront. Even though that endeavor was nothing about me, it actually pissed me off more. Oops, sorry. I hope none of my friends are listening to this.
Oh boy. Oh jeez.
Actually, you know what? No, for the sake of honesty, I hope you
I
are
hope you're
listening to this. Because you know what? I would have donated to your stuff. And it wasn't donating to me. It was donating to other people. But anyway, so that was all in one day. Probably one of my greatest successes and my greatest failures followed within a couple hours. So to not have those moments or rather days where you feel like, this sucks, I'm done. And I thought I gave the world more credit for caring about other people than they deserved. But then, so I was content to fail. And then I read an article about that 102-year-old guy. And I was like, that's what this is supposed to be about, raising money for people, not the idiots that just can't open up their wallet to spend $5.
So you didn't fail, you learned something.
Right. Yeah.
So you could say that you can never really fail, you can only learn. So get rid of the word failure and say, I learned something today. Mm-hmm. Could that be? Can you agree on that or no?
No, we can agree on that. Yeah.
Okay, good. At least we agree on something.
I don't think it's novel, but we have to step back and actually take the time
to see that
to
you
find what you learned.
Agreed. There's a silver lining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how do you think the show went?
Depressing.
Come on. Come on now.
We actually laugh a lot.
We did.
So.
I thought it went great.
No. I mean, in life, we laugh more than we laughed on the show.
Yes, so. Agreed. Yeah. This show went. I mean, it went to a dark place, but then it came out, and then it went back, and it came back out.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is, this is the vibe here has been great. We got a minute left. Anything you want to say to kind of close it up as a whole to the younger generation?
No, I'd like to thank you.
Save them.
Yeah, I'm going to right now. I would like to thank you because I think what you're doing is amazing with the show. And don't even open your mouth and be humble. I do. And I think everyone should watch it. And I just wanted that documented out loud on your show.
It's there. Thank you, Erin. Thank Ponderosa. 20 seconds. I think that's what 2 means, right?
There was already a 2, so I'm not really sure.
Shit. All right, we're ending it here. That's it. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for the next show sometime in the next week.